All right, you sick fucks, welcome back to the deep dive.
Back at it again.
Today, we're dissecting this train wreck of a song,
Oh, yeah.
Blurred Lines.
Here we go.
You know that Robin Thicke track that pissed off just about everyone?
Oh, yeah.
We're talking plagiarism, claims accusations of misogyny, the whole 9 yards.
Oh,
We've got a shitload of sources to wade through, including the Wikipedia page.
of course. Gotta have Wikipedia.
So let's cut the crap and get right into it.
It's wild how this song went from like a massive hit to
Yeah.
like a symbol of everything wrong with the music industry.
Seriously, that's some fucked up shit.
It is.
But before we get into like all the controversy, let's back up a bit.
Okay.
How the hell did this song even come about?
Well, according to Wikipedia, Thicke and Pharrell Williams were just like jamming in the studio.
Right.
And Thicke was like, yo, I love this Marvin Gaye song.
Uh-huh.
Gotta give it up.
Okay.
I want to make something with like a similar vibe.
So basically they were setting themselves up for disaster.
Kinda,
Right
yeah.
from the start.
Yeah, and that decision came back to bite him in the ass big time.
Right.
But initially, Blurred Lines was a smash hit.
Yeah.
I mean, it topped the charts for 12 weeks in the U.S.,
Damn.
a record for 2013.
Wow. Talk about riding high and then crashing and burning.
For real.
But this song wasn't just about like the music, was it? That music video was a whole other level of fucked up.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Topless models, balloons spelling out, Robin Thicke has a big dick, a stuffed animal.
What?
I mean, it was a total shit show.
Yeah.
Director Diane Martel, she claimed she wanted the women to like overpower the men.
Overpower.
But even she admitted it was controversial.
Overpower. More like objectify. What the hell were they thinking?
Yeah.
It's no surprise that YouTube pulled that video for violating their terms of service.
Right, the unrated version, they like yanked it for being too spicy. But it eventually got reinstated, but the whole thing just fueled the firestorm surrounding the song.
And then there's the Emily Ratajkowski situation, which just adds another layer of fucked upness to this whole mess.
Yeah, Ratajkowski, one of the models in the video, later claimed in her memoir
Oh, wow.
that Thicke groped her on set.
Oh, come on. Talk about blurring the lines in real life. This really makes you question, like, the whole power dynamic on that set.
It definitely raises serious questions about consent and exploitation in the music industry.
Uh-huh.
But let's not forget about the legal battle with Marvin Gaye's family.
Oh, right.
They weren't too happy about Blurred Lines sounding suspiciously like, gotta give it up.
Oh, yeah, the Gay family was not playing around.
No.
They sued Thicke and Farrell for copyright infringement
Yep.
and ended up winning a shitload of money.
It was a landmark case. It cost Thicke and Farrell a whopping $5.3 million.
Jeez.
They also had to give Gaye songwriting credit on Blurred Lines.
Talk about an expensive lesson in originality.
Mm.
But it wasn't just about the money, was it?
No.
This whole thing blew up into a cultural shitstorm.
You're absolutely right. I mean, universities started banning the song from their campuses. People were calling it a rake anthem.
Wow.
It became this focal point for discussions about consent, misogyny in the music industry, and the appropriation of Black music.
Thicke's career pretty much went down the toilet after all this, didn't it?
Yeah, he faced a huge backlash, and his public image took a serious hit.
Yeah.
Blurred Lines went from like a chart-topping hit
Right.
to a cultural pariah, like in the blink of an eye.
That's wild.
It's insane how quickly things changed.
It is. But let's dive into like the lyrics themselves. What exactly was it about the words that made people so pissed off?
A lot of the controversy centered around the line, I know you want it,
Right.
which was repeated throughout the song.
Yeah.
Many people found it creepy, presumptuous, and dismissive of a woman's right to, say no.
Yeah, I can see why people would be like freaked out by that. It's
Yeah.
like, dude, you don't speak for all women.
Exactly.
But they claimed the song was actually about his wife.
Right. He did. He said it was inspired by his then wife, Paula Patton,
Okay.
and how he supposedly, turned her into a bad girl,
Oh, God.
which is,
That's so pathetic.
yeah.
Trying to hide behind your wife to justify those lyrics. And let's not forget T.I.'s rap verse, which just adds another layer of sleaze to the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. His lines, especially, I'll give you something big enough to tear your ass into, were widely criticized
Jesus.
for being overtly sexual and degrading.
It's just the whole thing reeks of like male dominance.
Yeah.
And a total disregard for consent. It's like wrapped up in this like, catchy package,
Right.
which makes it even more insidious.
Exactly. The song's critics argued that blurred lines normalized sexual aggression and contributed to a culture where consent is often ignored or downplayed.
Right.
It was like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
The song might have been a hit, but it exposed some seriously ugly truths about how society views women
Totally.
and consent.
And it's important to remember that this song came out right before the hashtag Me Too movement exploded.
Oh, wow.
Blurred lines became part of a larger conversation about sexual harassment and assault that was finally coming to the forefront. It's crazy to think how one song could have such a massive impact on the cultural landscape.
It really is mind-blowing. But let's dig deeper into, like, the plagiarism aspect.
Okay.
How did they even prove that Blurred Lines ripped off Gotta Give It Up?
Right.
I mean, it's not like they copied the melody note for note.
Yeah, that's where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
The Bay family's lawyers, they argued that Blurred Lines copied the overall group, the feel and the vibe of Gay's song. It wasn't about like specific notes or lyrics. It was about capturing the essence of Gay's work without giving him proper credit.
So they basically stole the soul of the song.
Pretty much.
That's some sneaky bullshit.
Yeah, and the jury agreed. It was a landmark decision that set a precedent for how copyright law could be applied to musical works that share a similar feel.
Oh, wow.
It sent a shockwave through the music industry.
I bet it did. You can't just rip off someone's vibe and get away with it. But
Yeah.
Thicke and Farrell tried to deny copying Gay at first, right?
Yeah.
What kind of bullshit excuses did they come up with?
They claimed that Blurred Lines was simply inspired by the era of music that Gay represented and that any similarities were purely coincidental.
Come on, that's a load of crap. It was so obvious that they were trying to cash in on Gay's iconic sound, and didn't their own depositions totally screw them over?
Oh, yeah. Their depositions were a disaster.
Really?
Thicke admitted to being high on Vicodin and alcohol during the recording sessions.
What an asshat.
And he basically confessed that Farrell wrote most of the song.
Blaming it on the drugs and throwing his collaborator under the bus classic.
It definitely didn't help their case.
Yeah.
And then Farrell admitted that he reverse engineered. Gotta give it up.
Oh, shit. So they basically got caught red-handed. But
Yeah.
beyond, like, the legal shitstorm, what about the cultural fallout?
Right.
How did this whole Blurred Lines fiasco change things?
It ignited a much-needed conversation about consent misogyny in the music industry, and the appropriation of Black music Blurred Lines became a symbol of everything wrong with pop culture, highlighting the industry's tendency to prioritize profit over ethics.
It's crazy to think that one song could have such a ripple effect.
It's a testament to the power of music and its ability to both reflect and shape our cultural values.
So was Blurred Lines just a harmless summer jam, or was it a symptom of a much larger problem?
That's a tough question. I think it was probably a bit of both. It was a catchy tune, but it also exposed some deeply problematic attitudes about sex and gender.
It's like that saying, a hit song doesn't make it a good song.
But let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
What were like the initial reactions to Blurred Lines when it first came out?
At first, the response was overwhelmingly positive.
Rally.
The song was a massive commercial success.
Topping charts worldwide.
So people were eating that shit up. But were there any red flags early on? Anything to suggest that the song was, like, problematic?
Oh yeah, even amidst all the hype, there were critics who raised concerns about the lyrics and the music video's imagery.
Okay.
Feminist writers and activists were some of the first to point out the song's troubling messages about consent and its blatant objectification of women.
So some people saw the bullshit right away.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing the music video just amplified those concerns.
Absolutely. The imagery of topless models and the overt sexualization made a lot of people uncomfortable. And then when Emily Ratajkowski came forward with her allegations, it added another layer of seriousness to the whole controversy.
It's wild how something that was initially seen as like a harmless party anthem could turn out to be so damn problematic.
It highlights how important it is to critically examine the media we consume and to challenge content that perpetuates harmful stereotypes. We can't just blindly accept what we're being fed.
Word. So as the controversy grew, how did the public's perception of the song change? Did people start to, like, turn on it?
Absolutely. Radio stations stopped playing the song, some universities banned it from their campuses, and Thicke's career took a nosedive. Blurred Lines went from being the song of the summer to being public enemy #1.
It's like the whole world collectively woke up and realized, wait a minute, this song is fucked up.
There really was a dramatic shift. The backlash was so intense that it had a tangible impact on Thicke's career. It's a stark reminder that artists can't just hide behind artistic expression when their work promotes harmful messages.
Actions have consequences, especially when you're a public figure. It's not enough to make a catchy tune. You have to be aware of the message you're sending. But let's talk about this whole blurred lines being banned thing. Wasn't there some pushback, people saying it was censorship?
Yeah, there were definitely people who argued that banning the song from universities and radio stations was an infringement on artistic freedom. It's a complex issue, and it sparked a lot of debate about where to draw the line between free expression and protecting people from potentially harmful content.
It's like, yeah, free speech is important, but there have to be some limits.
Right.
You can't just go around screaming fire in a crowded theater.
Exactly. The blurred lines situation forced people to confront the reality that artistic freedom isn't absolute. You can't just hide behind the label of art when your work is promoting dangerous ideas.
It's about accountability, man. If you create something that contributes to a culture that normalizes sexual harassment and assault, you're going to face some backlash. That's just the way it is.
And it's not just about the legal repercussions, it's about the social impact, the way these kinds of songs can shape people's attitudes and behaviors.
Right, blurred lines became a flashpoint in a much larger conversation about the role of pop music in shaping social norms and values.
Yeah.
It forced us to acknowledge the ways in which pop culture can perpetuate misogyny and sexism.
And it's a conversation that's still going on today. We need to be mindful of the messages that music sends, especially to young people who are still forming their own beliefs and values. It's not about censorship, it's about media literacy.
Totally. We need to teach young people how to critically analyze the music they listen to think for themselves, and not just passively absorb whatever messages they're being fed.
That's the key. It's not about shielding kids from bad music. It's about giving them the tools to understand and interpret what they're hearing.
Blurred Lines may have been a controversial song, but it sparked a dialogue that in many ways had a positive impact on how we view and discuss consent and gender equality.
It forced us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves and our society. It wasn't pretty, but it was necessary.
All right, let's talk about race. Blurred Lines heavily samples Marvin Gaye, a black artist, and it's performed by Robin Thicke, a white artist. There has to have been some discussion about cultural appropriation going on.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of critics pointed out that Blurred Lines appropriated elements of black music without giving proper credit or acknowledging the historical context.
So basically, Thicke was profiting off black culture while simultaneously perpetuating harmful stereotypes about black women.
That was the argument critics pointed out, that the song's lyrics combined with the music video's imagery reinforced the hypersexualization of black women, which has been a persistent problem in American culture.
It's like they took Gaye's soulful groove and twisted into something exploitative and disrespectful.
The Blurred Lines controversy highlighted the complexities of cultural exchange in music. It brought up questions about artistic inspiration versus outright theft, and it forced people to think about the importance of recognizing and respecting the contributions of black artists.
It's not enough to just sample or borrow from black music. You need to understand its history, its meaning, its cultural significance.
Right. The case sparked a wider conversation about the ethics of cultural appropriation and the need for greater representation and recognition of black artists in the music industry.
It's a conversation that we're still having today. Blurred Lines wasn't just a song. It was a cultural moment that exposed deep-seated issues related to consent, gender, race, and the music industry itself. It was like opening a can of worms that everyone had been trying to ignore.
Exactly. It was a perfect storm of controversy that forced us to re-examine our assumptions and confront some uncomfortable truths about ourselves and our society.
So looking back on this whole mess, Trin, what are some of the lasting lessons we can learn from the Blurred Lines debacle?
Right.
What should artists, consumers, and the music industry as a whole take away from this?
Well, for artists, it's a stark reminder that your work has the power to influence and shape culture, and that comes with a huge responsibility.
You can't just create music in a vacuum, man. You need to be aware of the messages you're sending and the potential impacts they might have.
For consumers, I think the big takeaway is the importance of being critical thinkers. We need to challenge content that perpetuates harmful stereotypes or values, and we need to demand better from the artists we support. It's not just about enjoying the music, it's about being aware of the message.
Don't just passively absorb the music you listen to. Think about its meaning, its context, and its potential consequences. Be an active listener.
And for the music industry as a whole, Blurred Lines is a cautionary tale about the dangers of prioritizing profit over ethics. The pursuit of a hit song shouldn't come at the expense of artistic integrity and social responsibility.
It's about more than just making money. It's about creating art that has a positive impact on the world.
Blurred Lines may have faded from the charts, but its legacy lives on. It's a reminder that music is never just entertainment. It's a powerful force that can shape our culture and influence our lives in profound ways.
So let's wrap up by talking about one of the most infamous moments in Blurred Lines history, the MTV Video Music Awards performance with Miley Cyrus.
Oh, God.
That shit was a train wreck. I still can't believe what I saw.
It was definitely memorable. Cyrus, dressed in a revealing bear-themed outfit, was twerking all over Thicke, who seemed to be loving every minute of it.
It was like they were trying to outdo each other in terms of shock value.
The performance was widely criticized for its overt sexualization and exploitation of women. A lot of people felt it was a desperate attempt to grab headlines and stay relevant.
It was pretty cringy, to be honest. It just felt like a sad and disturbing spectacle.
It definitely sparked a conversation about the boundaries of taste and decency in live performances and raised questions about MTV's role in promoting and profiting from such exploitative content.
Looking back, it's clear that the performance was a symptom of the hypersexualization of pop culture and the pressure on young female artists to conform to certain standards of beauty and sexuality. It's a shame that Cyrus felt pressured to participate in something like that.
Even she later expressed regret over the performance, admitting that she felt sexualized and exploited.
It's a reminder that even in the entertainment industry, it's crucial to prioritize respecting consent over shock value and ratings.
Absolutely. But let's end on a lighter note. Did Blurred Lines inspire any funny or memorable parodies?
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm sure there were a few gems out there.
Oh, hell yeah. Weird Al Yankovic, the king of musical parody, released a hilarious version called Word Crimes.
Right.
He cleverly transformed Thicke's raunchy lyrics into a grammar lesson, poking fun at common language mistakes.
It was brilliant. Yankovic managed to both satirize the original song and create something educational and entertaining at the same time.
And there were tons of other parodies online, from feminist rewrites to humorous takes on the music video's absurdity. It's amazing how a song that was so problematic could also inspire so much creativity and humor.
It's a testament to the power of satire and the ability of artists to reframe and reinterpret cultural phenomena. Even a dumpster fire like Blurred Lines can be a source of inspiration.
Sometimes the best way to deal with controversy is to find the humor in it.
Yeah, it really makes you think about the responsibility that comes with creating art, especially when it has the potential to reach millions of people.
No doubt. It's like that old saying, with great power comes great responsibility. If your song is going to be blasted on every radio station and played at every party, you better be damn sure you're using that power for good and not contributing to some fucked up shit.
It's about using your platform to amplify positive messages and challenge injustice, not add to the problem.
Right on. But before we wrap this up, I want to talk about something else that always bugged me about Blurred Lines, the whole good girl narrative that Thicke kept pushing. Like, he was trying to paint this picture of himself as some kind of Svengali who transformed Paula Patton into a bad girl.
It's a classic example of the Madonna whore complex. This idea that women can either be pure and innocent or sexually liberated, but never both. And of course, it's always the man who gets to decide which category a woman falls into.
It's such bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like he's trying to absolve himself of any responsibility for the song's message by saying, oh, it's just about my wife. She's the bad girl, not me.
And it completely ignores the fact that women are capable of making their own choices about their sexuality. They don't need a man to turn them bad.
It's just another way of controlling and objectifying women.
Exactly. It reduces women to stereotypes and denies them agency.
So Blurred Lines wasn't just a song about sex. It was a song about power, about men trying to control and define women's sexuality.
And it tapped into some deeply ingrained cultural anxieties about female sexuality and the perceived threat of women who embrace their sexual power.
It's messed up. But hey, at least it sparked some important conversations and forced people to confront these issues head on.
That's the silver lining, I guess. Blurred Lines may have been a dumpster fire of a song, but it served as a catalyst for change. It forced us to have some uncomfortable conversations about consent, misogyny, and the role of pop culture in shaping our values.
All right, folks, that's a wrap on our deep dive into Blurred Lines. We've dissected the song's origins, its problematic lyrics and imagery, the landmark lawsuit, and its lasting impact on the music industry and society as a whole. It's been a wild ride, but hopefully we've all learned a thing or two along the way.
It's a reminder that even in the realm of pop music, we need to be critical thinkers, challenge injustice, and demand better from the artists we support.
So next time you hear a catchy tune on the radio, take a moment to really listen to the lyrics and think about the message it's sending. Don't just blindly accept what you're being fed. Question everything. Stay woke, my friends.
And remember, music is a powerful force. It can be used to uplift, inspire, and create positive change. but it can also be used to perpetuate harmful stereotypes and reinforce oppressive systems.
So let's use our voices and our platforms to amplify the music that matters. The music that challenges the status quo and fights for a more just and equitable world.
Cheers to that, and until next time, keep those ears open and those minds sharp. Peace out.